Welcome to the DEFCAM. The recent escalation along the western frontier marks a pivotal moment in Pakistan's effort to defend its territory and citizens against cross-border terrorist sanctuary and direct hostile action. From Pakistan's standpoint, the response was both necessary and proportionate. Precision air interdiction to preempt imminent attacks, followed by coordinated ground and aerial actions to neutralize fortified enemy positions that had been used as staging grounds. The operation began with validated intelligence indicating that militant command nodes and weapons depots inside Afghan territory were actively supporting planned assaults on Pakistani population centers and security installations. Collection fused human reporting, intercepted communications, commercially available satellite imagery, and airborne surveillance to create a near real-time targeting picture that met strict legal and operational thresholds for action. Execution blended long-range detection, rapid targeting, and layered effects. Air assets executed time-sensitive strikes on hardened command locations and logistics hubs using precision-guided munitions selected to minimize collateral damage while neutralizing the fighting capability of identified nodes. Standoff engagement reduced risk of striking platforms and allowed follow-on forces to move into clear corridors. Simultaneously, unmanned aircraft provided continuous overwatch and battle damage assessment, feeding imagery and signals data into the Joint Mission System so ground units could prioritize clearance and detainee processing. Electronic warfare teams created windows of advantage by degrading hostile communications and tactical sensing during the critical engagement windows, while friendly command and control links were protected through frequency agility and encryption to sustain synchronized operations under contest. Ground maneuvers and containment completed the effect-to-task sequence. Rapid reaction detachments and infantry units sealed exfiltration routes and established holding perimeters around neutralized strongpoints. Specialized engineer teams rendered captured ordnance safe and reopened mobility corridors to allow humanitarian and stabilization assets to reach affected communities. Multiple fortified border positions were rendered non-functional through a combination of precision strike, mechanical breaching, and controlled demolition, while several positions were taken intact and cleared, producing detainees and significant material evidence. Forensic exploitation of recovered devices, communication gear, and munitions enabled immediate tracking of supply chains and external facilitators, informing subsequent interdiction planning. The operational picture highlighted capability asymmetry. Irregular fighters who have refined guerrilla tactics over decades were unprepared for a coordinated, combined arms response directed by a modern sensor-to-shooter architecture. They lacked depth in integrated air defense, logistics redundancy, and the command layers necessary to sustain conventional stand-up conflict against organized forces. Once their forward operating bases were systematically isolated and key command nodes destroyed, their capacity to coordinate operations collapsed quickly. That collapse was evidenced by the cessation of coordinated attacks and the formal announcement of suspension of offensive activities by insurgent leadership in theater. Pakistan interprets that public withdrawal as a tactical capitulation in the face of sustained multi-domain pressure rather than as the result of diplomatic negotiation. The campaign's technical lessons are instructive. First, the ability to fuse signals intelligence with imagery and human reporting into a single actionable catalog proved decisive in reducing time from detection to engagement. Second, networked unmanned systems provided persistent observation at low risk and were invaluable for battle damage assessment and evidence collection. Third, electronic warfare, properly integrated and applied in tandem with kinetic fires, significantly degraded enemy situational awareness and command cohesion, producing effects disproportionate to the resources expended. Fourth, rapid forensic processing of captured material converted tactical success into strategic intelligence, revealing logistic networks and external dependencies that can be targeted through non-kinetic means such as sanctions, diplomatic pressure, and financial interdiction. Operational procedures emphasize lawfulness and control. Rules of engagement were crafted to discriminate combatants from non-combatants, to protect civilian infrastructure, and to ensure the humane treatment of detainees. Captured persons were processed with medical screening, legal custody procedures, and opportunities for verified identification. Evidence chains were established for captured material, so that findings could be presented credibly to international interlocutors and used in legal or diplomatic fora. This commitment to procedure strengthens the credibility of Pakistan's narrative and reduces the effectiveness of adversary propaganda. Border management adjustments followed the kinetic phase. Key crossings were temporarily sealed to deny movement and to allow comprehensive security sweeps, credential verification, and biometric screening. While the economic cost of closures is regrettable, the decision reflects a calculus that temporary hardening of transit reduces the chance of reconstitution of hostile networks and the risk to civilian life. Parallel measures were deployed to protect critical infrastructure and investment projects, including the use of aerial surveillance and hardened perimeters around high-value sites. Reports of third-party unmanned systems operating near these assets created the need for precise airspace coordination and diplomatic engagement to prevent accidental escalation and to protect foreign nationals and investments. The regional implications are substantial. The operation underlines Pakistan's insistence that territorial sanctuaries for armed groups will not be tolerated and that national self-defense will be exercised when host states fail to prevent cross-border attacks. This posture is calibrated. It seeks to restore security and deterrence without provoking a broader interstate war. At the same time, it places a burden on neighboring authorities to act against non-state actors operating from within their territory. Failure to do so invites predictable operational consequences and increases diplomatic isolation. Pakistan's strategic approach post-engagement is threefold. First, consolidate gains through persistent surveillance and rapid reaction forces to prevent regrouping. Second, exploit evidence gathered during operations to pursue legal, economic, and diplomatic measures that disrupt support networks and suppliers. Third, accelerate capacity building at the border, enhance sensor density, expand mobile interdiction units, and strengthen community engagement so that local populations reject armed groups and support state security efforts. These measures aim to convert temporary operational success into enduring stability for frontier communities. The campaign also prompts a doctrinal update. Future planning will prioritize integrated multi-domain task forces that couple intelligence exploitation with precision strike, electronic attack, and humanitarian stabilization in a single operational rhythm. Investment in autonomous and remotely piloted systems, in expeditionary engineer teams, and in rapid forensic labs will be accelerated to improve the speed at which tactical gains can be translated into strategic advantage. Training cycles will emphasize legal compliance, humane detainee handling, and robust evidence collection so that military action produces both security effects and enduring legitimacy. Finally, public communication has been managed to build domestic resilience while informing international partners. Verified releases of imagery, intercepted communications, and forensic results have been tailored to meet evidentiary standards so that international audiences can independently assess the facts. Diplomatic channels have been engaged to explain the operational logic and to invite cooperation in stabilizing border zones and in prosecuting cross-border criminal networks. In sum, the recent operations represent a comprehensive demonstration of Pakistan's capacity to detect, disrupt, and degrade threats originating beyond its borders while maintaining legal and procedural discipline. Tactical success was achieved through integrated intelligence, precision engagement, electronic dominance, and careful post-action stabilization. The challenge ahead is to consolidate these gains into structural resilience that prevents the return of sanctuary and supports long-term regional stability. Thanks, and stay connected to the upcoming videos.